So today we're going to be doing some shading and washing on the remaining pieces that I left. And maybe I can even try to do some other details today too. And I can actually use my wet palette today. That's for something later. Let's see how well this held up. Oh yeah. So it actually held up pretty good. I'm happy with it. It's the Army Painter one. Army Painter wet palette. Freshen her up a little bit. There we go. Some fresh stuff in there, and I might even do a little bit of some other detailing in this as well. That's kind of the idea. It's a lot of detail today, so that's kind of the goal. So, but we're gonna start with my shades here. So on some of the more exposed leather pieces, I'm actually going with the Fugan Orange. On the more exposed pieces, it's probably gonna take a couple layers, but it's not gonna be a permanent coat. I want the white to come through kind of like as the high points, and obviously in the recesses is going to be more of the darker shading. So that's what I'm aiming for here. So we'll see how this turns out. next segment, it'll probably be a second layer, possibly of the shading. We'll see what happens after the first layer dries. I'll know more by then. If it looks good enough, then I can move on to a important little detail I want to do, which is using a bronze on some of the finer stuff, and then I can still use more of the shading to use the null oil to help finish off some of the shading that's left. That's kind of the idea. And then once I get that, done, then basically I can continue with, excuse me, I can move on to doing more detailing on the display diorama itself. So I'm kind of excited about that. I'm looking forward to that. I cannot wait. I'm glad that every little step, even if it's like an hour or 2 hours at most every single day, progress is being made. And that's what I'm liking about it so far. So once this all has its time set up and look a lot nicer, we will move on to some of the other stuff. There we go. Move some of this around. There we go. Yes, it's like, you always want, I'm double checking some areas, making sure it's not sitting too heavy and it doesn't look too awkward. Because my idea is that the light is coming from this direction. This is the idea. It's all coming from this direction. So I want the lighter highlighting colors, the brighter colors from the light of the sun. It's kind of like low. It's not quite sunset, but it's getting low. So that's the idea, is that the lighter colors are here. It still has some dark to it, but it's not as much. So that's what I'm hoping to achieve with the shading here. So anyway, see you guys in a bit. Okay, so I'm going to get back to working on my detailing. So I need to get to the brass colors. So that's what I'm doing next for some of the weaponry. Once I have that, then I believe I do have some things to fix with some of the shading. As you can see, it got very dark on some spots, but I can continue to layer it as well, which I think will help to add to some of the shading and things of that nature as well. So anyway, I'm gonna be pressing on. Okay, so that's fixed up. And I got the rest of the remaining details on, more or less as far as colors go. So I've got a plan for how I want to do the setup for this. But in order to do that, I have to move on to this. So that'll probably be part of this too, because the next part of the video series I want to do, you notice probably maybe in the background there, I have this nice, very fine, it's called ballast, fine buff. It basically looks like a little fine grated sand. So I have a plan for this, and I'm going to use it on the higher points of this. Essentially what I want to do, because there's going to be some low points in here and different color sand and things of that nature, but I want to integrate these bases into the diorama itself. So that way, while they rest in here, they look like they're actually part of it. And when they come out, it's all coming with, and it goes back. So I have an idea of how I want to do it. It's just a matter of how well will it work is the question. I'm kind of excited by this thought. And of course, I got shade on my finger, pulling some of that off. There we go. Put that back on nice see. Yeah. Anyway, so yes, I have an idea. So I think you can see it pretty well because of the color. There you go. Come back down. Go. So I think you can see it pretty well as far as from the camera angle. You can see the different colors here. So my plan is to essentially, the paler parts here, I'm going to lay on layers of the ballast to kind of build it up, kind of like small sand wave across here. But as I was trying to illustrate when I was doing the airbrushing, I'm going to use these as the points of, okay, here's my high point. This is where my first sight will go. There's a high point against this wall here as the sand is kind of being blasted around a corner up against a wall. And these guys have been kind of trying to clear the doorway, keep it as clean as possible so that way they can go in and out. So, and of course, I cannot forget, I also have these as well to put in there, but I think I want to do these after I have the sand layers done. And like I said, I have an idea of how I want to do it. It's just gonna be interesting if I can pull it off. So I really hope I can. Anyhow, we're gonna keep going with at least this for sure. Yeah, so we're gonna keep going with this for sure, and a little bit later on get this a little more dollied up and matching through, kind of grime it down, beat it up a little bit more, so that way this thing can keep going forward. Okay, so last thing I'm going to be doing here for this video, before I move on to the next, I'm going to go ahead and get this colored up a bit more. With this being the paler color, I'm not expecting I'm using this transparent orange airbrush here. I'm going to be using an airbrush here to kind of make this go quick. I'm expecting that to kind of, it's going to be a brighter color, which is what I want it to be. But then, of course, once I'm done, I'm going to be streak and griming on this as well. And with some of the innards, because I want these to look more like explosions, I'm going to be finishing that deep inside with the bullet holes here and the artillery explosions with the opaque black in here. And then basically, from there, this should be as ready as I can. We'll see how it looks after I'm done. I could make changes along the way, but the basing and but kind of like the final colors and such, you get an idea of what this is going to look like. Like I said, this is a paler sand color. I just want this orange on it to kind of illustrate kind of the sun beating on it and time as well. I think the good thing being is that when some of this color ended up on here, it already left some darker stains upon it, which I don't mind. Now, there is something I'm going to do once I get to the back side of this building, because I still wanted to illustrate at least some semblance that it's going past a little bit. Alright, I'm going to illustrate that this is the top of some sort of temple-ish doorway, is the idea and thought. So this transparent color I'm using right here and now is going to work out pretty good to let still the brighter colors come through. It may look pretty dark now, but up close in the actual lighting, it's kind of more of a pale orange to represent more of the sunlight glancing on this. And then on the back of this, and also some on the side, like back there, I am going to kind of overdub that a little bit with a darker orange. It's the Jacaro orange that I originally started at the base of this earlier in the series. So I'm going to be using that as the dark shadow, and then I'm going to kind of blacken that with the opaque black to kind of fade it into the lighter color. Which might seem weird, but once it's completed, you might see at least the idea that I'm trying to facilitate. So come here. There we go. Like even in here, like inside where it's through the pale, again, I'm going to be doing that Jacaro deeper inside, at least as the starting point, until I know for certain what the lighter, what the light will look like, or at least how it should look like once I have it together. So I have plenty of this transparent orange left on here, so I'm just going to kind of use this up as much as I can on some of the edges. So some of the spots here, this is still pretty light. This is still light. So I think I'm going to kind of try to put it into the door, like I said, as much as I can to kind of start the color, but then kind of build on it from there. Kind of like it's a reference point, so to speak. Now there's some other spots that I do want to do along the way. So, like a little bit inside. And so on and so forth. So, we'll see how this turns out. Again, I still have some extra here, so I'm just going to use it on some of the areas to kind of start a color process, hopefully, for when I start the kind of the sanding, or using the sand to start building up. So, like I said, I already started some shading on here. May as well just use it while I can, while I still have it. So that way it's not wasting much paint, which is another thing that you want to try to think on too. Always try to measure it out right for what you're going to do. That doesn't always work, so. And transparent colors don't actually add too much as far as shifting of colors to what you're doing, which is another plus. Now, the last thing. Some streak. And I think I'm just going to be... I might be strategic with this instead of doing an airbrush work. I want to see what it will do. Because I want to try... Because I've already got some of this charred. So I think maybe... I think what I'm going to do is do some of... Just enough to kind of run it along and see what she looks like. Just gotta get my spoons here. That's actually funny. So I think I came across a happy accident, actually. So, strangely enough, obviously the black didn't quite stick very well. However, I think having that crumpled paper towel to kind of just stipple it up a lot of the wet stuff, I'm liking some of the other shadows it's kind of making. It's kind of looking like it's been weathered and beaten over time. It actually kind of looks more like, almost similar to like if you found a concrete bunker from over time, which strangely enough is what they've converted this to, is kind of the idea. And of course, you can't really tell probably from the camera angle. There we go, a little bit different. There we go. So some of the dark smudging is like, from like smoke and everything else that's kind of stained this over time. And same thing here. There we go. You might have a better view of it once I bring you guys down and kind of look at it. But yeah, it's dark in the holes where I wanted them, kind of like blast rings in a sense, but it's kind of a concentrated fire. But again, I'll bring you guys down and you can have a better look at it. So I'm actually kind of happy with the result of that. It's a nice happy accident, actually. Kind of adds that darker shade that I'm kind of looking for, strangely enough. And it's also kind of in the right areas and in a weird way, I guess. But I'll bring you guys down and you guys can kind of look at this from like at least an up close and kind of personal look to it. And yeah, so that'll be the end of this video for now, guys, in this part. I wanted to at least get this set up to where I can start laying down some fun little sand gribbly to kind of start filling this in to make this look good. I have a little secret plan for underneath this as well. So if you guys caught any of my Inquisition Kill Team Displays video series, I have that up on the channel along with on a playlist that's called the display. It's called dioramas. So I have all of my diorama projects from the first little one I did all the way leading up to where this is going to be. It's all going to be on there as well. So if you don't want to go searching like video to video, you can just hop it on a playlist and kind of play it on and watch. So yeah, I'll bring you guys down so you can have a quick look.